made in Guangzhou, China.
I was made in Zimbabwe.
I'm from Xi'an. If you look at Chinese map, it's right in the middle.
I'm originally from South Africa, Cape Town to be specific.
I'm originally from Brazil, South America, on the other side of the globe.
I was born in China, and I was born actually in the capital of China, Beijing.
I moved to New Zealand when I was about 5 years old.
I was born in Seattle, Washington.
I came to New Zealand because when I was young, my parents decided that it was a better way of life, and we loved New Zealand, so yeah, we ended up here. There were no other Chinese students in my class, so it was quite difficult. I couldn't believe that, we didn't get much homework at the end of the day. Before officially using the name Erica, I still used my Chinese name, which was Sijia, and it was very hard for people to pronounce. All sorts of variations like Sinja, and then it became Ninja, and all sorts of different pronunciations. When I was 12, Austin was chosen as my surname because at the time there was a lot of racism in the workplace. My parents realised that if I had an English last name on my CV, there were more chances of me getting a job.
I call New Zealand home, but I also call Zimbabwe home. I had no idea as a 9-year-old how different it was going to be. So I'd come from Africa where there was a massive drought on to New Zealand, which is surrounded by water. When we first arrived, I turned to my parents really suspiciously and was like, where is everyone else? Because I'd grown up being a minority. I came from a place where there were always beggars, there were always street hawkers, and it was a lot more racially diverse. I hope that the future of New Zealand is a lot more colourful. I hope that it gets more multicultural. I really appreciate New Zealand. I genuinely think it is one of the best places in the world to be living. I will never be able to separate myself from my Zimbabwean identity. It's where I grew up, and New Zealand's where I've grown into myself, where I've been educated, where I've made my lifelong friends.
New Zealand is a really cool country, especially Christchurch. Christchurch has a lot of mountains and a lot of beaches. Back in China, I used chopsticks, and now I need to use fork and knife. So a lot of small things. At the beginning, it was hard to talk to locals because I think it's mainly because of language barrier. It took me a long time to know the culture and to start conversation. So there's a bit of trouble at the beginning, but yeah, now it's fun. So I have a lot of friends here. So yeah, definitely Christchurch is my second hometown.
I learned English when I was 4 years old. I think growing up speaking both languages will be useful because that way I maybe can communicate with people who don't really speak English but can only speak Mandarin, or people that don't speak Mandarin but can speak English. My dad was born in New Zealand and my mom was in China.
Beijing is a big city with about 22 million people. Has been always a part of the story that eventually I know I'm going to move to New Zealand.
My dad thought that maybe in New Zealand it would be much better for me to grow, to learn.
When I moved to here, somehow when I don't have a job, I feel like I a little bit lost, that I lost my identity. When I go back to Beijing to visit my parents, I stand in the busy road, the traffic come from everywhere, and the noises and the weather, I just like, oh, I miss Hagley Park. I miss, the life back in Christchurch.
I miss my friends in Beijing, I miss the food, I miss the big city, and I also miss my grandparents there.
When I moved here first, I knew about 5 people in the whole city. But from those 5 people, within the space of several months, I felt like I got to know about a quarter of the entire city in that space. Seattle is home for me. But the more I see of the world, the more I come to think that you find home in different places, all around it. 3 years on, this feels like home.
My mom and dad chose to move to New Zealand because, first of all, education was better for us. There's a lot more freedom here, safer. Christchurch is definitely our home because there's a lot more people. It reminds us of South Africa. There's a mall, and the Muslim community is bigger too, so yeah, that's really good. At first in Timaru, I was the only Muslim girl amongst, obviously, majority Kiwi. But then I met two Māori girls that they made it really comfortable for me because I didn't feel that out of place. But obviously wearing the headscarf still made me stand out quite a bit. I told myself that I'm going to accept who I am and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. What matters is what I feel. Obviously I wanted to leave a good impression, but yeah, just being confident in who I was just really helped.
I wanted to live somewhere where I would feel safe and somewhere beautiful. The way I feel as a person in my community and as a woman, I feel like I have a voice. So yeah, New Zealand was a winner. When I first moved here, I had those first 3 months of being completely in love with the country, but I took out the human factor on my planning, adapting to a new community. So that was a bit tricky and it took longer than I expected. I volunteered everywhere. I started volunteering for all sorts of events, and that's how I made most of my friends. And yeah, Christchurch really feels like home now. I still feel Brazilian, and I'm very proud of my roots and where I came from. Home for me is the people around me, so my community is my home. And I have put a lot of thought on my Turanga Waiwai, where I belong, my place of standing. And I've decided it's not a physical place, it's the people around me. That's where I belong.